My most important issues are democracy. That's the key one. I'm very in favor of people being able to govern themselves and to be able to have power over their representatives, to be able to recall their representatives. So I think that's incredibly important, and that's why I'm involved in the Brexit Party. I come from the left. I come from a trade unionist background where I was a trade union representative for a while, and I'm a trade unionist. I'm proud to be involved in that and have come from the left, as I say. So I'm very interested in democracy. I suppose I support Brexit in the same way that Tony Benn did. If I was Theresa May, I would have started at no deal and said, Europe, come and deal with me. Come and give me whatever you want. And that's the way I would have approached a deal. And the real, almost criminal problem that happened during the whole negotiation process was that the EU was able to deal with people that did not want a Brexit in the first place. So they dealt with people who were Remainers and who are dedicated to stopping the biggest democratic mandate that this country has ever known. I would say, let's implement the first referendum. That's the real problem. A second referendum, the problem with the second referendum is that it negates the first referendum. If it's about something else, then that's a different question. But if it's actually a second referendum, a confirmatory referendum, I feel it negates, as I say, the biggest democratic mandate that this country has ever had, and it is anti-democratic. I was born in Canada, and I had a very nice, pleasant childhood in Canada. The bits about Canada I miss are probably the great outdoors. That's what I grew up with. I grew up in a sort of outdoors type family and had a very nice childhood. I came over to this country at age 20, and I had, I came over to be a musician, and then I was a part-time musician throughout much of the 1980s. Got reasonably far, but never made a proper living out of it, and left it really when I was about 27, 28. I'm not a politician, and I've never really belonged to a political party. I've voted Labour in the past, but I didn't join the Labour Party. It was simply that I believe very, very strongly in democracy. I teach American history, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the way that their constitution guarantees free speech, whereby they have democracy written into their constitution. And I felt that this country there's too much technocratic government above people's heads. This isn't restricted to this country, but it's something that I'm very, very concerned about, because I think in the end it's the people, even if they may not make the wisest choice, they should still be in charge of governing themselves. And I think that's what has really inspired me to get involved in the Brexit Party. As I say, it's not a natural thing for me to do because I come from the left, but I do believe that left and right don't matter so much. It's much more about right and wrong. I've had huge backlash for my political beliefs. I had 16,000 tweets after I came out as an academic against the referendum, along with a lot of rudeness. I've had death threats. I've had all sorts of different problems, but I think it's important to stand up and be counted. And I think it's important to put your head above the parapet and speak for what you believe, because if you don't, you will allow whatever it is that you feel so strongly about to happen. And if you don't do it, nobody else will. So I would encourage anybody who's in that situation to put their head above the parapet. There are other academics who are leavers, but most of them are very shy. So when I did a debate last year with a colleague with whom I get along very, very well, and he was arguing for a second referendum, I was arguing against, I had several members of staff at my university phone me because they did not want to put it down in an email so that it was in black and white and say, I'm a Leaver too, I support you, but I can't do it publicly. Well, obviously angry. That's what has inspired me to join the Brexit Party and to get involved, is that I'm angry at that because I think democracy is extraordinarily important, and it is that principle. If we don't stand up on that principle, we have nothing in this country. There is no democracy. You know, it is a very serious undermining. One of the things that I do in academia is I look at the relationship of citizen to state, and I think that's a crucial relationship, and I feel it is being undermined in this country, and I feel that it is in trouble simply because we have this mandate where it's very clearly stated that the government will implement what you decide. And this mandate says this is a once-in-a-lifetime decision, and suddenly 17.4 million people who voted, the majority of people who voted, are being told you need to vote again because you haven't voted right. And that's what makes me very, very angry.
Who would be the 3 political figures you'd have round to your dinner party, past or present?
Whoa, that is a difficult one. I would have Abraham Lincoln. He's probably my biggest political hero. He is one who united the country, the United States, and he freed the slaves. I think he comes top. There are so many good. They're going to have to be American. I'm very sorry, but I study American history, so that's the way it works, kids. But I would say, actually, let's think about. I think John Locke would be a fascinating political character. He's not American, of course, but he had a really interesting mind, and he came from such a tumultuous time, a really difficult time. That I think he would be a fascinating character. And the third one, probably, that's a very, very difficult question. I'm just trying to think of past or present. Lyndon Johnson would be very interesting just to see where he came from. I studied quite a bit about Lyndon Johnson, did an article about him, and he is a little bit of a political hero to me. Obviously limited in the sense that I didn't quite agree with his Vietnam decisions, but his efforts on civil rights, actually Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King would be the third person.
Okay.
Never mind Lyndon Johnson.
What's your hidden talent?
I sing in a choir. I sing second tenor, and I very much enjoy singing. It gets you completely out of the world and immersed into the music, and it's one of the most relaxing things you can ever do, and I'm not bad at it.
Can we have a song, please?
No.
Okay.
I'd have to warm up.
If you were stranded on a desert island, what would be the 3 things you would take with you?
A mobile phone, so I could get off the desert island. But if I had to be stuck there forever, I would bring a library because I very much enjoy reading, and I am curious about the world, and that's the way you learn about the world. I would also take my wife because I would like to be with my wife, and she might not be too happy about that. And I would take, it sounds funny, but a knife, because in Canada, in my sort of survival training that I've done, you'd be amazed at how useful a knife is. So just a hunting knife would be exactly what I'd need, and I could quite happily while away the time as long as the weather was fine.
If you could outlaw one thing today, what would it be?
I am not very comfortable with outlawing because I'm fairly socially libertarian. If I could outlaw something, I think I would outlaw the House of Lords, which again is also a representative, is also an anti-democratic kind of body that sits above. It has the 9th Earl of Carnarvon and various different people like this who have inherited their power, and I think democratic accountability again. So yes, outlaw the House of Lords.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Red or brown sauce?
Brown.
Do you have any phobias?
Yes, although, like my father, I try and attack them. I think probably a little bit of a fear of heights, but when I told this to my father, he said, "We're going parachuting," and we did.